Let me start this by saying that I acknowledge this is a highly subjective topic, and I know that bigger channels out there have talked about this topic before, but this is such an interesting topic I simply cannot pass on. Also, I'm sorry if I sound quiet on this video. It's 12:30 AM right now, and I don't really want to wake anyone up for a content. So, game quality versus game length. Which one will it be? Welcome to the second episode of Quick Bit, where it's going to be a quick, short, to the point talk, although I'm still experimenting, sometimes it's still too long. But today's topic, game quality versus game length.
How is the game? How long is the game?
Both are questions that have been asked a lot, and both are important aspects for a game value. After all, as a consumer, you want the price that you pay for to translate into the product that you purchase. That is just common sense. So first, let's talk about game length. This is one of the most popular subjects that people use to determine the value of a game. You know, the logic is, if you pay $10 for hundreds of hours of entertainment, that is obviously great value, right? That is a steal. But let's take a step back and see the average game length in general, compared to other forms of digital entertainment. So games that is considered short actually already gave a large amount of entertainment. Let's just compare it, shall we? So, 2 hours of movie is considered a long movie, and I rarely want to watch a movie that long because I'll fall asleep. A music album, on average, is 30 to 50 minutes long. Yet, there's only few I do in one sitting because my ear will bleed. Short games, 6 to 7 hours. That is too quick. So even a short game is longer than a long movie or the average length of a music album. So does game length really matter then, considering how even short game is pretty long compared to other form of digital entertainment? That is a handful to say. Well, the answer is yes, it does. Why? Because if you look at the average prices of video game, it also is more expensive than a Blu-ray movie or a music album. Yes, I know there is a game that costs less than $10 or even less than $5, but as an example, let's mention the AAA titles, which is the Hollywood tier of games that on average cost $60. That is why the amount of game content is seen as important in the modern gaming world. More and more developers are making their game into a quote-unquote live service where they put constant weekly/monthly update by adding more contents and events. Albeit not much, it is still there to prolong the game lifespan. Let's take for example multiplayer games like Rainbow Six Siege. Ubisoft, the developer, constantly put out content or small patches to keep the game community and player base healthy, because they knew that these kinds of small tweak, like a nerf to a weapon or a buff to an operator or something, all these little tweaks can spark a reaction from the fan base, whether it's negative or positive. And these days on the multiplayer gaming world, not putting out constant updates and content can be a fatal mistake, sometimes even making the community marking it as a dead game. As on the single player side, developers usually do this by adding collectibles or side activities, or maybe post-launch content in form of an expansion pack. Pretty much anything to make the player come back for more, even something little like cosmetics for the protagonist or something. So yes, game length is important. And developer seems to agree on that by adding more and more content into their game. After all, more content usually translates into longer game. And just like any other form of product, a product that is able to sustain itself well after a long period of use have a greater value. And a game that is able to keep the players engaged and interested after a long history of playtime also have a greater value. But, of course there is a but here. Even with all the good things that I have said about the game length, what if I say that game quality is still way more important? Let me explain. Here's the thing with game length. To care about those huge amounts of content and all the expansion pack or updates that the developer put out, you need to be quote-unquote hooked by the game first, for you to spend another 100 hours into the game. Well, you won't really get hooked if the game itself doesn't have a good quality in the first place. You see, the reality is, it doesn't matter how long a game is advertised to be. Let's just take for example No Man's Sky. On average, it takes about 45 hours to finish. Now, in order for the game length to even mean anything, the game needs to have the quality and it needs to be engaging enough to keep you playing for at least that 45 hours. If it didn't even manage to do that and it's boring on the first few hours, it doesn't really matter how much content that game have because you're not even going to touch it. Let me use music as an analogy. You found a 10 minutes long music. You play it. Now, if it's not catchy enough for you, or it's not really your taste, or maybe it's just horrible in terms of quality, at 2 minutes mark, you will most likely skip the whole song, making the length of the music meaningless. Yet if you hear a 2-minute song that is really catchy, it have a great lyrics, it's just a song that you really like, it doesn't matter that it's short, because you will replay it over and over and over again. So what start as a short 2 minutes music become countless of hours of entertainment because it is just that good. The same apply to video games. If you got an open world game with long story that have tons of content, let's just say, but the quality of the content itself is very dry, then it doesn't matter because you will not play it long enough to check out those content. And as an example, I spent 700 hours on CSGO. Is it because of the amount of content on that game? Not really. I rarely even play map outside of Dust 2, Mirage, Catch, Overpass, and Inferno. And if you were to try all the maps in this game, right? All the game modes, all the weapons, it won't really take 700 hours for me to do that, not even 100. So how do these games pull it off? Because these games make you play it because it is that exact game. Maybe you like the gunplay of it, maybe you like the mechanics, maybe because of the modding community, or maybe there is just nothing like it. In the end, it is that quality and identity of the games that make it so replayable and it makes you want to do it over and over again. It is the quality that these games have that makes you care about the little tweak and extra content that the developer put because you love the game. I mean, would you really care about an extra content for a game that barely worked? I highly doubt you would. Another example on why quality is a much more important aspect is that there have been so many short games that I played that is just an absolute joyride, and games that I will recommend to many people without hesitation. Beautiful games like Gris, Journey, Abzu, unique games like the Stanley Parable, Undertale, Inside, Limbo, and so many more. These games prove that monetization like DLC or a bloated amount of content and long playtime isn't necessary to make a memorable experience if you are willing to put enough time and effort into your craft. So for conclusion on this topic of game quality versus game length, for me personally, I see it like this. A long game length and a huge amount of content do not guarantee good game quality. But a great game quality would almost guarantee good value in terms of length due to replayability. But really, in the end, you do not need to worry too much about these, as many great games these days have absolutely done a great job on both aspects, and the gaming industry is definitely pushing the standard more and more, so hopefully it's also only going to get better for us as a consumer. But yeah, I think that is it for the video today. This was an interesting topic to talk about, although I know it's probably unnecessary as most games cover these two aspects just fine these days. But if I have to pick one, personally, I'll pick quality over length any day. How about you? Which one would you choose? Length or quality? And why? Let me know in the comment section down below. Make sure you subscribe and ring the bell if you want more. Press like if you like the video, dislike it if you don't, and I'll see you guys on the next talk. Goodbye.